Well, here we are again. Welcome. Today I'm looking at the Grade 8 B3 piece, Consolation in E by Liszt. If you have tiny hands, this might not be a very good choice of piece to do because it's very stretchy, lots of arpeggio lines and big stretches required and octave work going on as well. Anyway, let's have a listen to it today. We'll play it through. The tempo marker at the beginning is set at 104, which is kind of, sorry, that was a bit loud. So that melody is a rough sort of speed, something along those lines, but obviously it will be played quite rubato and sort of flexible on the timing. Right, let's get straight to it. Once we've played it through, we'll break this down, of course, and talk through the finer points. Okay, here we go. There we have it. Right then, so looking at the beginning here, we want to have a nice legato line, cantando espressivo, so actually played very much in a singing style. We're bringing out the melody line. Really trying to bring that out above the accompanying parts. You hear that singing out. In terms of pedaling it, probably just pedaling each group of 3 left-hand notes. I'm not lingering very long at the end of them. I'm tending to come off, you know. That nice lightness in the left hand is crucial to creating that really relaxed feel and that calmness that we need. There's obviously a crescendo in bar 3, so we're bringing that out. Obviously there's going to be some give and take in the tempo here. You don't have to be sort of really metronomic with this. You can have a little bit of bendiness and a bit of rubato in the sound. So, you know, you just need to take your time to really not rush through the practice of this. You have to play it slowly, really slow. To really feel the essence of it, really. Just take your time when you play it. And obviously the left hand on its own really needs some work done to itself, just to make sure everything is controlled and really known. And you know, you need a very loose thing going on here. If you're a kind of player that's very tense and you're energetic and you play fast things a lot, you've really got to just calm things down. Even watch things like your shoulders. Make sure your shoulders aren't sort of hunched up when you're practicing. Monitor any tension. Tension is a big enemy when we play musical instruments. And at the higher end of playing, this is a really important thing to master. So this is one of the most important things you can do. Practicing the left, following dynamics. Make sure every single one of these 3 note quavers is nice and sounds calm. In bar 7 you have a slightly more awkward one to play, with the 2 going over, or the 3. So that's the main thing to just watch out for in those opening bars. Nice, calm, controlled left-hand parts. Don't even try playing it hands together, I think, until you've really got those left-hand parts sounding nice and loose. Obviously the right hand is quite easy to play, actually. It's very legato, and we're just bringing out the melody, as I said earlier. So straightforward stuff, actually. In bar 6 we have that smorzando abbreviation there, just dying away slightly. So if we go from bar 4 slowly, this next bar 5, I put a slight accent on the E, and then this quieter, tender sort of left hand there is the sound you want on bar 6. Is that right? No, 1, 2, 3. Make sure the timing is correct here. 1, 2. Yeah, that's C. 1, 2. And again, rubato in places like bar 8, where you can sort of stretch it slightly. Once again, I'm bringing out the melody line here, and the accompanying parts are just nice and quiet. You absolutely will have a challenge on your hands getting the left hand down for that section, bar 9 onwards. You've got to really try and have a good technique. You know, make sure that first one, make sure that you're watching out for the treble clef and bass clef. Keep switching all the time in this section. The fingering here in bar 9 in the left hand suggests on the second group of notes that 5-3. I don't like that, actually. I prefer a 2 on the B. A lot of people would say, well, that's not so efficient, but I prefer the 2. Okay, anyway, going on, pay a lot of attention basically to the left hand parts here. Bar 10, that's a very awkward one to play. Again, if you have small hands, this could be a bad choice actually for the exam, because it's a very tricky piece to play unless you've got a really good stretch capability. Again, pedaling each group of 3. crescendo. There's no reason why you can't be mindful of the dynamics while you're playing this. So, you know, you can try and just play the left hand only, getting that accurate sound, and just watching out in the corner of your eye for any crescendos or anything there. This is the real thing that makes this piece challenging on page 1, I think, is the left hand parts jumping around everywhere, but needing to sound effortless. So anyway, we're bringing out the melody at all costs, keeping the left hand nice and light. Bar 12, we have that rolled chord here, and what have we got? Yeah. Now this following bar, that's sort of dying off. Da, da. You could say the same for bar 12 actually. That sort of G, you know. So you can start this bar 12 a bit louder maybe, but then kind of coming off, tapering off, you know. And similarly here, tapering off the sound. Anytime you see a bar where there's a decrescendo sign written in just for that bar, like bar 12, 13, 14, we have it in bar 8, we have it all over the place actually. Just that kind of tapering off effect. Sorry. That sort of. And that bar actually, bar 15, is a tricky one to get good at because of the stretches. You've got to make sure that the third note isn't too clonky, you know. And that's the same for any of these patterns in the left hand. Not, you know, making sure everything comes off. That's the big message I have for you for this piece on the first page. So let's just go a bit further. So I'll go back to bar 12 and I'll try and battle on through this actually. So bit loud there, but did that wrong, didn't I? Now this is an important point. This bar I've repeatedly played wrong when I was practicing it. Bar 14, it's very easy to end up playing this rhythm, which it isn't. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. It comes on beat 2, the G. Bar 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. I was always going 1 and coming in on the end. I don't know why I was doing that, but I'm thinking if I was doing that, maybe some of you might do that because it's just one of those things. It just feels natural to go, but it's actually, yeah, it's a subtle difference there. So just watch out for that. Right, let's see if I can play this properly now from bar 12. Reinforced there, so we've got bar 19, like a little bit of an accent, then that sort of tapering off, so we want that contrast there ideally, so a bit stronger on bar 19, sorry, and you can have a bit of rubato there as well, you know, you can sort of, you know, just hold back a bit, hold on. There's a nice example of a crescendo in bar 21, but dropping back in 22. All these ups and downs are critical to bring out the flavour of this piece. And again, lots of left-hand practice needed here because that's got to sound effortless. That bar there, 21. Everything coming off. Everything is slurred. Okay, so bar 21. Hang on. This one here in bar 23, this rolled chord, very important to get a good, don't rush the roll, otherwise you get that, not so nice. Be generous, so we can hear that really coming out. Again on that roll as well in the following bar. Work on your rolls if you're not good at them, because you don't want to rush them. If you go too quick, it's very harsh. That's much nicer, isn't it? Hear the difference. And again, broad roll. To me, it sounds quite natural to put in a sort of slowing down writ type thing in bar 27. The right hand slightly helps the left hand there, doesn't it? Because you've got, in bar 26, the beginning of this left hand line, and then the A of the right hand hits the A, that's why the bracket's there, and then the left hand just continues. So your right hand is playing the A in bar 27. Okay, so just that one. But the important point to remember, of course, is you're holding down the chord all the way through that. So the F sharp and the D sharp are down throughout that. It does suggest the fingering to do 2 and 4 and then change to 5 and 3 while holding the chord. I don't think I did that earlier, but I mean that might be a thing. Switching fingers while holding the chord to prepare you for 1 and 4 at the end. I didn't do that, I don't think. But anyway. So again, a little bit of bendiness, a bit of rubato in there somewhere, just to kind of give it a looseness of timing. Right, so you could work on this section for quite a while, just get used to it. At grade 8 level, it is, well, at any level, it's quite useful to try and memorise things. Now, obviously, I'm reading this book and showing you because I'm making sure that I don't miss anything out, and I need to look at this just to refer to points that I'm explaining. But I often play things from memory, and I think it's a good thing, especially if you're performing in front of other people. If you've not really done much of that yet, I'd encourage you to do that because it really reinforces what you should really know. You know, if you take the book away and you can't remember the first bar, that's not a good sign. It's often an indicator of how well you know something. If you take that book away, how far can I get through it? This goes for any piece you ever play, really, doesn't it? So, you know, maybe, and also because it's quite a difficult piece to play physically, you kind of need to look at your hands a lot while you're playing. So it's quite dangerous, actually, to try and follow music when you need to really look at your hands and make sure you're covering all those notes that you need. So I would say you could spend a fair bit of time for the first few weeks of learning this, just trying to memorise a lot of it and see how far you can get. Okay, now, let's move on to the next section. Bar 30 is a contrasting section. So we have this kind of staccato slur thing, which is really just played like this. Not with those notes though. It's almost like a semi-staccato, isn't it? Because it's not really staccato in the sense of, you know, it's not quite like that. It's a little bit lazier. And I'll try and play the right notes in a minute, I promise. I mean, I think I might have been a bit naughty earlier and pedalled slightly, but I don't think I need to. No. This is straightforward stuff really, isn't it? Bit of a stretch going on in bar 34. That one there. I start the B first and then I played everything together. Like that. And make sure that last note is nice and light. And similarly here, The stretch of the left hand here is like that, compound fifth. Oops. That's a continuous roll, so you might want to play that very slowly to make sure you've got that under control. And again, looking at your hands really so that you can see what's going on. You have to kind of swing round to get to that A flat, or G sharp in this case. And then plenty of time to do a page turn here because we've got a poco writ, and that's not a big deal there, that's straightforward. I've got the page pre-cornered there so I can grab it easily. Very important to make sure little things like this are in place so that you can easily turn the page. So as we get onto the next page, bar 38, I actually play the F sharp of the bass clef there, the left hand part. I prefer to play it with my right hand. So my right hand part that I'm doing here is I'm playing the F sharp and then catching that. And when I'm pedalling it, it sounds very smooth. I do the same in the next bar. I play the B of the bass clef part of my right hand. I do the same on the next bar, bar 40. I play the F sharp of the bass clef with my right hand. Okay, now even on the next bar, I play the D sharp with my right hand. And in bar 42 with my right hand. Now that's not what's suggested, but that's what I like, and it works for me. The interval of a compound fifth, trying to stagger that in the left hand, and then this one, which is kind of a very big stretch, seems very difficult to try and reach. It doesn't feel to me like that needs to be played as such. I prefer to use my right hand. So that's my approach. Some of you might like that as well. You might argue that perhaps that staggered effect is necessary stylistically, but it hasn't been written in such a way to imply that. The notes appear in the bars as simultaneous. Now, Liszt did, by all accounts, have a very large hand and could stretch really big distances, much more than most of us can. I think he could stretch a compound fifth, which would explain that first interval in the first bar there possibly being playable by him. I don't know. I can't imagine anyone could reach that far, but you never know. So let's just run through this. Bar 38, melody is in the bass line. We're trying to be very expressive. You know, okay, but I'm sharing, like I say, the first note in each bar of the right hand. See what's going on here? Thumb of the right hand. And then we have this little broken thing. Okay, so it's fairly straightforward. It's all very smooth. We're bringing out the melody, and that's simple. Now we get onto a slightly harder section here. I think bar 46. The melody is kind of shared between the two parts, right hand and left hand. We have this, and then the right hand's taking over, and then of course, and then it's like a dialogue going on between the two parts. So the left hand on its own, followed by a very short B, bar 46, and then of course there's a lot of clef changes here, so you've got to be very careful when you're reading this that you're not playing the wrong clef. As we go into bar 48, that's the same as bar 46, and then It sounds very random when we isolate the left hand. And then whatever that is. And so on. You just need to practice that left hand on its own a little bit to get used to those weird jumps and to get the accuracy on the notation. Right hand similarly, you know. I think I did that wrong. Yeah, mustn't forget we've got D sharps in this key. Okay, so I'm going to go from bar 46, just leading it in from the previous bar. I'll try and play it properly. Oops. There. Now watch out for the poco writ. That's kind of written in such a strange place. I'm not a big fan of tempo changes being written way above the staves. Like that poco writ is almost so far away, it almost looks like it could be for the other system. So in bar 51, poco writ applies there. So if I go from bar 50, right. Something like that, you know, it's only a temporary sort of broadening of the sound. As we carry on then, we have a slightly contrasting moment now in bar 54. Again, bringing out that melody. And that left hand again needs to be effortless sounding. That sort of, that's the trick to getting this good sound. So, and remember earlier how I said be generous with your rolls. It's quite romantic, you know, dreamy and wistful. We carry on. Again, a nice roll there. So I'm on the last page now, of course. Fourth bar of the last page, bar 61. And throughout this piece, we've got so many clef changes, haven't we, in the left hand? You've got to be so careful here to really make sure you know what you're doing. As we pick up from bar 62, reinforce there, so we've got a bit of a stronger moment. Okay, so we've got that straightforward. Carrying on, I think we'll just go from 66. It's not that, is it? That's funny how it's the same note there, E flat in both parts, bar 67. Then we've got to strike, ideally without clipping the other note. SF, bar 68, so a little bit stronger. The left hand can also be a bit stronger in sympathy of that. But again, a dissipation of energy, weakening off in that second bar. Almost like tension and release. And once again, those nice musical shapes in the left hand. Okay, now we carry on. Bar 72, possibly a bit more volume on this. It sounds dramatic, this, a diminished chord, broken up. Sorry. At this point we're preparing for the end, so poco a poco, more slowing down. That's what it's saying there effectively. So notice that minim rest as well in the left hand part. So as we're playing, keys on its own there. Two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. You notice how I really hold back from hitting that last chord. Just take your time, ease into that last moment. And of course, when you're pausing, even though you might be nervous in the exam, or if you're performing in front of other people, enjoy that last moment. You know, let that really just settle at the end. Oh, that's a horrible chord. You don't want to play like that. That would be nasty, wouldn't it? That would ruin everything. And just let it wait. Obviously, you'd keep your hands down probably to kind of be glued to the piano. If you're still watching this after however many minutes I've been talking about this, well done. Thanks for staying with me. There's been a lot to talk about here, so I hope that you have some luck battling through this one. And stick around, because I'll be going through the rest of the grade 8 pieces next. I've got a few more to do. There's a fun piece coming up called the Maple Leaf Rag, which is a nice bit of ragtime. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please feel free to do so, because it would help the channel a lot. And there's some good stuff coming up. So yeah, thanks for staying with us, and catch you soon. Take care for now.